Hi everyone, this is Kim from Kim Holland Homes. Today I am going to be doing the first part of a string of interviews that I think you will find really exciting with top professionals in the real estate industry. I'll be interviewing attorneys, loan officers, insurance brokers. So this is really exciting stuff. Besides what you're going to know from me in my videos and what I have to tell you, now you're going to be able to hear what the actual professionals in their specific industries are saying about today's market, what their advice is, things you should know. And of course, in the comments below, you can always ask specific questions because they will be tagged, their companies will be tagged, and they will be able to answer directly in the comments as well. So I'm really excited today. The first part of this series is going to be with Robert Zabbia of the Zabbia Insurance Group in Massapequa. And I'm headed to the office right now to interview him, and I'm really, really excited to see how this whole series of interviews is going to play out, and I'm sure you guys are absolutely going to love it. It's going to be some great information. So thank you so much, and I will see you all soon. And don't forget to subscribe to Kim Holland Homes on my YouTube channel to get all the latest and greatest from me. Bye. Hi Rob, welcome, and thank you so much for meeting with me today at my office at Exit Realty Premier. I'm really excited to start this whole series of interviewing people because I can only give so much information to the public, but having the professionals that are niche in your specific areas is so important to make sure that my clients and the people who are viewing my videos get to see the actual professional talking about the things that they need in the home buying process. Okay, so let's get right into it and let's talk about 5 things that people need to know when they're first-time home buyers that are really important. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions and see what comes up. So the first thing, what's the first thing that people should know?
All right, so when looking for a home, the home insurance, a lot of people wait till the end. They wait till the bank requests it. So
Correct.
It's really good to, before you sign that contract, get quotes for the home insurance. Contact your insurance company or contact a local agent or broker to find out what the insurance is going to cost. Because sometimes people will go by what the current homeowner is paying, but since Sandy hit, people might be grandfathered in, and the company that they have now won't rewrite it with a new homeowner. So they might have to get a whole new policy with a totally different company, and the rates could be totally different.
That is such valuable information because I can tell you, probably out of the last 3 years of deals, I've never had a bank actually say to me, get homeowners insurance in the beginning. It's always the 11th hour.
Yep.
It's after the commitment. It's right before the clear to close, and they're like, go price out homeowners insurance.
Yeah.
So what happens if they can't get it?
Well, a lot of times you can get it. It's just, can you afford it? We've seen it where the people are paying $2,000 a year, and then they go to sell the house, and the new people have to pay $5,000 a year because they're down, close to the water, south of Sunrise or Merrick, and now since Sandy, a lot of companies pulled out.
And that could kill a deal entirely if their payment goes up another $100 a month.
Right.
Because of their homeowners insurance.
Yeah, I talk to loan officers all the time, and they begged me to get the premium down because they needed to qualify because the ratios.
Huh.
So yeah, it's very important to know exactly what you're getting into before you sign that contract because, from what I understand, not being able to afford the home insurance isn't a reason to get out of the contract and you can lose your deposit.
Wow, that is amazing information right there. So as far as companies, so what's the most important thing when you are looking for a company, a homeowner's insurance?
So when you're looking for home insurance, you're basically buying a claim. That's why I like to explain to people because it's something that's not, it's a piece of paper.
Right.
But what you're really buying is a claim. So, I get people saying, oh, I can get this rate way lower at this other company. But if you look at the history of that company, they're not very good at paying their claims. So, do you want to have a good claim or a bad claim? So that's what you're basically paying. With Sandy, it really reinforced that because we had people within 2 weeks after Sandy, they got their first check. We had other people that weren't with us that had some of these other companies. In 2 weeks, they still haven't even heard from their carrier.
Wow.
Because they didn't have the resources, they didn't have the claims paying ability, And it makes a big difference then. So a lot of people don't think it makes a difference because it's just about what you pay. But when something goes bad, that's when it really counts.
So it's really important that, these companies that might be giving you a super great rate, if you don't actually research the amount of claims that they pay out, then now you're just paying them. And then when you go to actually need a claim paid, they might be fighting you for it.
Exactly. There was one company that we used to write for. We stopped writing because we had 3 people that they were fighting them tooth and nail for every nickel. I mean, one of them, they had a fence knocked down. It was $2,000. Like, cut the check. Right. But they didn't. They fought it. They were trying to deny that the wind knocked down the fence. And, those are the things that people don't, when you have something really bad. Right. I had a client that just had their house burned down like last week. And we're going through the whole thing now. And, they're happy because they got a check like right away on the spot. The insurance company went out, they paid them money. So this way they could stay in a hotel and they can have money for meals and, get all that set up right away, whereas other companies might not get out there for weeks. And that, that's a long time to have to rebuild your life. And that's for the last time you want to figure out that, when somebody's house burned down, the last thing they were, wow, I'm glad I saved $200 on my insurance.
Exactly. Wow, okay. So let's see. So when you are inspecting the houses, so a brand new home buyer, they get their homeowners insurance, and then does your company go to the house to check out the house? How do you inspect?
Well, what happens is, and this is where a lot of home buyers get burned, is they'll get a quote, and it's a great quote, but every insurance company inspects every house on Long Island. And it's not us as the agent that inspects it, it's the company has one of their representatives or a third party go out. So what happens is we'll see it where somebody get a really low rate, and then the inspector goes out, and after the closing, they get hit with a bill for $800, $1,000 more than what they originally paid because they underinsured the house to begin with.
And they don't know that before they close?
Well, what we do differently is we get an appraisal. So when we have the appraisal, we know what the inspection is going to come back at because the appraisers do a much better, more detailed inspection. So the underwriters will accept that over their own inspectors, believe it or not. Because they know the appraisers do a much more thorough job. Right. So we can go back to the underwriter and say, no, you made a mistake, and lower it to what we originally quoted at. Whereas a lot of companies like these big 800 numbers, they're not going to do any of that. They're going to, you're paying $350 for the house, the mortgage is $250, we'll give you insurance for $250. And then they go out and inspect the house, and the house should have been insured for $300, and now that adds $400 or $500 to the premium. Right. And now you're after closing, you paid all the money, you don't have any money left. And now you're going to come up with another $400 or $500.
That is not something you want to find out after the fact. Wow. Okay. Going on to flood insurance. So I've had a lot of buyers ask me, whether they know what it means or not. They'll say, does the house have an elevation certificate? So how important is it to have an elevation certificate on a house that needs flood insurance?
Well, flood insurance, most of it is done by the federal government through FEMA, through the National Flood Insurance Program. So if you have an elevation certificate, what that means is when the government looks at the rates for the area, they just do a flat area. But the house here is 3 feet higher than this house here, so it should pay a lower rate. But when they do the math, they don't necessarily see that. So if you can get an engineer go out and they can say, oh no, this house is 3 feet higher, so it's less likely to flood, it can cut the premium down to a third, if not less, than just getting the rate flat out. So an elevation certificate can definitely help. It can hurt because if the house is lower, but in that case, you just don't submit the certificate.
Right, and that's the other thing that some people are hesitant to get it because they say, yes, it can hurt, but getting an elevation certificate, does that make it mandatory that you have to submit what you find out?
No, what you need to do is you need to work with a broker on flood insurance that knows, and we can put the information in before it goes to the company, so that way FEMA doesn't see that the houses, which we've seen them, especially Staten Island, we've had them where the houses were 8 feet below sea level, so the insurance would have been $20,000 a year. But
it's up to the buyer, though. They don't have to submit the elevation certificate to anyone.
And you want to work with the flood insurance expert because you want to make sure that it's somebody who doesn't write the policy and then submit it. You want to work with somebody who's going to be able to get the quotes for you ahead of time before they submit it.
And
so this way you're not locked
that
into
decision. Right. Okay.
There's also private companies out there now that will insure. We only deal with one because they're the only A-rated one that's authorized to do business here. But they are using newer technology, so they can even look at doing it without having to get an elevation certificate. So what we do is if the house is in a flood zone, we'll get a quote from that company first. Mm-hmm. And then if that doesn't come any lower, Then we'll say we have engineers that we know in the area, and then they'll go out and see if they. And some of these engineers are really good because they could say, hey, if you add flood vents on, that can lower the premium.
So when you do go out and you inspect the houses after someone wants to get homeowners insurance with you, what are you actually looking for?
So the insurance company, the underwriters are doom and gloom people. They look for things that are going to go wrong or that they would have to pay a claim out. So they might pick up things that the home inspector might not. So the home inspector might say the roof is good, but the curling shingles might blow off in a windstorm. So it might not be leaking now, but one windstorm and they could. They look for handrails on the steps because it could be a liability hazard. So if somebody trips and falls off the off the steps,
right,
it could be a liability hazard. They also look, is there trampolines? Are there vicious dogs? Like things like, so what most companies do, they do the inspection after the closing. So then if it's the prior dog, you don't have to worry about it. But if you do have a dog and, and you don't disclose it to the company, then they might give you a problem with that.
Are there pre and post inspections? Because I know this all just kind of started happening of the physical inspections going to the house in the last couple of years.
Yeah, well, most companies, a lot of them were doing it as soon as we ordered the inspection. Now, a lot of the companies, to save money, because they were inspecting houses that never got any insurance put on place.
Right.
So a lot of them now are waiting till after the closing. So the benefit of that is that if you're buying the house and then you're moving in, it's you that they're looking at, not the prior owner. The bad thing is that if there's something wrong, they're not going to pick it up until after. And that's one of the reasons why what we do is we ask for the appraisal, because we can look at the pictures on the appraisal and say, hey, you know what? I don't think the underwriter is going to like this, the way the handrail is, or like the basement handrails are a big one. Because a lot of times
I just
you
had
have
to
the
put
wells.
that on in a deal I have right now. The bank made her put the handrail going down.
Yeah, so a lot of times the banks won't pick it up, but the insurance company will. So that's why we look at a lot of those things in the appraisal. So when we're working with a home buyer, we can have them negotiate that as part of the deal.
So last thing, how can somebody save money when getting homeowners insurance? What are some things they can do?
So a great way to save money is to bundle. If you can bundle the auto and home together, the home insurance companies will give you a really good discount. Like one of the companies we write with is Allstate. But a lot of times Allstate won't write the house because since Sandy, they're limited in what they'll accept. But the other companies that we work with, if they have an Allstate auto policy, they'll give you a discount even for that. Not as big as Allstate would, but they still will give you a discount. So bundling, even if it might not be the same company, it might be the same broker, you might be able to save money that way. Having a new roof. A lot of the companies now, because of the wind damage that's caused by storms, if there's a roof that's under 10 years old, they give you a discount for that. A lot of people think alarm systems, but the alarm systems, especially here on Long Island, the fire departments and police departments are so close, it's not a big difference between the payouts on claims with or without, so they don't give as big of a discount. It might only be like a 2 or 3% discount. So I recommend people get the alarm just for peace of mind, but it's not really going to save you money.
Energy efficiency, would that do
anything? Renovations, so if you have a new house or a renovated house, then you can get discounts for that. But just energy efficiency on its own, there's no discounts. At least the state hasn't approved anything yet.
What about solar?
No discount for solar either. As a matter of fact, with solar, you need to make sure that you disclose it because that will add to the value of the house because if the house burns down, they're going to put solar back on the house.
Right.
So you want to make sure that it's covered so anything would happen. Or if even the solar panels blow off in a windstorm, that is covered. Okay.
Well, great. Thank you so much for coming and interviewing with me. It's so nice to have a perspective from somebody who's actually in a specific industry, because so many times my sellers and my buyers will ask me things, but I'm the realtor. So I have my job, the attorney has their job, the insurance person, the lender, like everybody's got their jobs, and I never want to overstep to say, something that might not be actually correct. I like to give lead my clients to the people where they're going to get the correct information from the correct professionals. So I really do appreciate it. This is Rob Zabbia of the Zabbia Insurance Company. It's 847 Broadway in Massapequa, also part of the Massapequa community. You were the Leukemia Lymphoma Man of the Year, I believe?
Yeah, for 2018, yep.
Fantastic, such a great cause. And you're also on the board of the Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, it's a great community, Massapequa, and being able to give back by serving on the chamber and helping local businesses, that's how we know each other.
That's fantastic. I'm a chamber member as well.
So it's great.
All right, well, fabulous. Thank you so much. And to everybody out there, just keep alert and subscribe to my channel. You are going to see a lot more interviews with the professional people that I deal with, and It's all going to be great quality education. So stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe.